In the absence of proper training of the newly ordained monks, certain unruly behaviors pertaining to wearing robes, holding out alms bowls with leftovers, eating, and so on were noticed among the new entrants. Lay persons felt disgusted with their conduct. Therefore, the Buddha made the provision to put the new entrants on probation under Upajjhaya and Acharya. With this provision, the conferment of ordination was divided into two parts. Pavajja or Parvrajya, that is initiation, and Upsampada, that is ordination. Even a single monk could have granted Parvrajya, but the Upsampada was administered by the order consisting of 10 monks. After initiation, the person was called Shramanir, novice, and followed the 10 precepts, that is Sikhapada. The ordained person was called Bhikshu or Bhikkhu and followed the Patimokh rules. Shramanir was under the training of an instructor, Upajjhaya, and selected a teacher, Acharya, if he wanted to be ordained as monk. Only the individuals over the age of 20 years could receive the full ordination if they wanted to become monks or nuns. But the individual below the age of 20 could be granted initiation, Parvrajya, receive the 10 precepts and enter the order as a Shramanir, that is male novice, and Shramaneri, that is female novice. Usually the minimum age for novices was 15 years, but in special circumstances it might be lowered to 7 years. Such young novices were called crow chasers, kakut pak. When a female novice became 18, she would undergo a ceremony qualifying her to be a probationary nun, Siksha Mana. For 2 years she would observe 6 Pachitya rules. When she had completed this training, she could become a nun. Only an able monk endowed with virtue, meditation and wisdom, free from taints and possessed the knowledge of liberation could have been instructor and teacher. Such monks were requested thrice by the person to be ordained to become his or her instructor or teacher. The disciple of instructor preceptor was called Saddhi Viharik, and the ordained disciple of a teacher was called Antevasi. At the time of initiation, the young monk chose an instructor from among the older monks for being trained by him for proper monastic life. Similarly, a teacher was chosen at the time of higher ordination. Further, it was instructed that both the young monk and his instructor, teacher, would behave like a son and father, so that they, being united by mutual reverence, confidence and sharing of life, might advance to a high level in the doctrine and discipline. Any person who was not observing proper conduct towards his instructor or teacher was guilty of committing a dukkat offense. But if any monk continued to conduct himself improperly, was expelled from the order by word or gesture related to this effect. As per the requirements for initiation, the entrant having satisfied the eligibility criteria of age and complied with preliminary conditions of taking parents' consent, shaving off his head and beard, etc., and sitting down, squatting, made a request for his ordination in a set formula called Kamma Vacha to a chapter of 10 ordained experienced monks. The pre-selected preceptor or teacher of the entrant presented him before a chapter of 10 accomplished monks and announced thrice before that chapter about his intention to be ordained. If there was no dissenting voice after these pronouncements, the ordination of the entrant was considered confirmed. In case of nuns, sanction for ordination had to be taken twice, first from the Bhikkhu Saṃgha and then from the Bhikkhuni Saṃgha. It is interesting to note that in case of a woman was unable to present herself before the Saṃgha for ordination on account of dangers on the way, she could send a messenger to the Saṃgha to seek ordination on her behalf. Thus, ordination by proxy was allowed. There were also special provisions for conferring ordination on a woman with child. In course of time, the Buddha prescribed the conferment of higher ordination by triple announcement and Anya Chatukha Kamma in place of the 3 declarations of taking refuge. According to this prescription, a competent monk addressing the order announced thrice, Bhante, let the Saṃgha listen to me. The person named such and such desires to be ordained under such and such teacher. If the order considers it appropriate, let the Saṃgha confer ordination on the person named so under the teacher named so. If you are in favor of this ordination, remain silent. And if any one of you is not in favor of this ordination, now speak. If the Saṃgha remained silent after the triple announcements, such a person was considered ordained under the teacher he wanted to be ordained with. Immediately after ordination, the entrant was apprised of the 4 nisayas, requisites, upon living on alms, using robes made out of rags, sleeping under a tree, and taking urine and such other filthy things as medicine on which he had to depend on. These were, however, later on relaxed. For instance, the permission was granted to reside in cave, hermitage, monastery, etc. instead of open sky, and to use ghee, molasses, etc. as medicine. In case of food, the Saṃgha was also allowed to accept, if offered through invitation, distributed by tickets, salaka, and etc. In course of time, they were also permitted to have sugar water, fruits, sweet drinks, etc. under certain conditions. Besides these rules that I talked about just now, the additional rules pertaining to the qualification and disqualification related to the admission in the Saṃgha were also prescribed by the Buddha. Immediate admission in the order was not granted to anyone. Persons belonging to other religious orders, for example non-Buddhistic orders, had to undergo a probationary period, parivas, of 4 months before being formally admitted to the Saṃgha. To seek admission in the order, such a person had to make a request for parivas. Exceptions, however, were made. In the case of the Jatilas and the Shakyas, the former being believers in the effects of past deeds, Kamma Vadino, Kriya Vadino, and the latter being kinsmen of the teacher Tathagat. A person should not be administered ordination unless he requests for it. A monk having less than 10 years standing of monkhood should not administer ordination to anyone. Persons suffering from any of the 5 diseases, that is leprosy, boils, dry leprosy, consumption and fits, were debarred from admission into the order. Men in royal service declared thieves, jailbreakers, proclaimed robbers, scourged offenders, branded thieves, debtors, slaves, a matricide, a parricide, an arhantaside, one who has violated a nun, one who has caused a schism, one who has shed Buddha's blood, a eunuch, a hermaphrodite, an animal in human form, one whose hand or feet or both have been severed, and one who has furtively joined the Saṃgha, etc., were also excluded from admission into the Saṃgha.